Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com, here at the airport in Las Vegas because we are about to do a 5-minute portrait shooting out of a helicopter. So this 5-minute portrait should be interesting, but before we get up into the skies, I want to tell you that Canon is footing the bill to charter one of these helicopters. Now, I've shot out of a helicopter once, but never shot out of it with the doors off and harnessed in. Maybe I will get that opportunity to do that today, but I'm trying to decide what lenses will I use. I'm taking two up there, 24-70 2.8 version 2 Canon and the 11-24 f4. They said we're gonna be flying somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 feet. I'm gonna have to see what is gonna look best for me when we're up there. So some of the concerns, how will I shoot? What will my settings be? How will this work out? I think the only way to determine this is to actually get up into the sky, get into a helicopter, and start shooting some photos.
Y'all ready? Yeah, I think so. Does this have rear view backup camera? Vegas Tower, good afternoon, Maverick 36, single Maverick on the photo flight, taking off northward X-ray. Somebody's in the throttle, bud. Oh! Wow! Woo! Holy, the wind coming through the door. Okay, so we're basically going to go up the strip and then down the strip, and then you guys will tell me whatever you need. Sound good? I have this. Yeah, are we good to switch lens for the wide angle? Yeah, you're good.
So when I first started off, I had on a 24-70 2.8 IS2 from Canon, and I thought that was going to be the lens that I would use for most of the time. But I quickly realized I wasn't getting wide enough images, and I decided to switch to the 11-24 f4, which is a fantastic lens. But I have to say, you really need to be careful changing lenses when you're in the helicopter, because not only did I have gloves on, the helicopter's moving, wind is blowing in and out, and you may drop your lens. Now, you don't want to drop a $3,000 lens out of a helicopter at 3,000 or 4,000 feet because you'll never see it again, but it's a good idea to have two bodies. If you have two bodies up there with two different lenses, it's going to be much easier to switch between both of them.
Maverick 36, try to contact the garage, altitude indicated 3,100. You're cleared through Las Vegas, Bravo. We may not have below 3,000 until further advised.
Okay, Jared, I'm going to try to position you and get a nice shot with the stratosphere. Sound good?
How does it look?
That looks much better. I just got to try not to get the rotor in, and we'll be good. And give you a shot from above like this. I can definitely see where a 7200 comes in handy up here. Being the first time up, you don't want to overdo it.
But then when you're, the second time, you just switch it up.
Yeah, then you know what you're going for.
Sure.
So I love having the ability to shoot wide with the 11-24, but it sometimes doesn't give you the ability to fill the frame as much as I personally would like, because I don't like to crop. Now I have a little bit of zoom from 11-24, so that's good if you can get close enough to the subject that you're trying to photograph, but it's also a good option, like I said earlier, to have either an extra body or have extra lenses, but somebody else to help you change the lenses while you're shooting.
I'm going to do a couple orbits around the stratosphere, cool? And then I'll spin, and we'll go to the right-hand side. Sound good? Yep. Don't fall out. challenge. It's one of those challenges. And I'll do another circle here and get you a little closer.
So one of the coolest things here was I got to shoot out of the helicopter with the doors open. Now, because the doors were open, I was harnessed in. I had my seatbelt on, all 4 of them locked in right here in the middle, and then the harness is connected to the chair. So if something happened where I slipped out or I leaned too far, well, I would have still been able to hang down below, but would have been harnessed in. Now in the future, I really need to lean out further. I didn't push the extremes this time because it was the first time I was flying there, so I really wasn't comfortable with leaning out super far. But now that I know that I could, I'm gonna do that next time to make sure I get the shots that I want.
Dude, look at that. Look at the snow on the Spring Mountain. Got hair in my face. No way.
So let's talk about settings. Now, being that we're in a helicopter and there's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of vibration, I thought the best thing to do would be to have a faster shutter speed. So somewhere around 1/1000th of a second was where I wanted to be. And I chose to be around f4.5. Pretty much everything at 4.5 is going to be in focus. That's why I didn't worry about keeping that aperture lower where I had it. Now, I had my ISO around 400 and then bumped it to 800 as it started to get darker because that gave me the ability to have a faster shutter speed. Yes, I have a fro, which means the wind was doing a number on my hair. It was blowing it around, it was getting in my face, which was making it harder to take pictures. So my recommendation is it may be a good idea to wear a hat, wear some kind of hair tie, but think of that before you're flying so it doesn't get in the way of you taking pictures.
If you want, you can put your hoodie on, like the hood of your jacket on, and it'll help you with your hair.
Steven, is my hair okay?
So I'm not a big fan of motor driving, meaning holding the shutter down to take rapid fire photos unless you really need to. And one of those times to do that was in the helicopter. I would snap off 2, 3, 4 frames in a row because I had to counteract the movement of the prop of the helicopter, especially when I was shooting wider. I could see in certain images that if I didn't do that, the prop was right there in my image. But if I looked at the second or third shot, then I was able to get rid of the prop.
So Jared, the pilot, is actually Jared, an incredible photographer as well.
So what was really great about our flight is that our pilot was also a photographer, which means he's flown this route many, many times and he knew where everything should be or where the good shots would be. Now in the future, if you're flying, it's going to be great to direct the pilot. Now I didn't have a chance to direct the pilot as much as I wanted this time because we had 6 other people on the helicopter and you have to keep it fair. But next time, if I'm flying alone or just with my crew, I'm gonna be able to hover over certain things that I want to hover over and spend more time getting the photos that I really want to get, especially now that I have one flight under my belt. So one of the things you shouldn't be afraid of when you're in the helicopter is to chimp, AKA look at the back of your screen. You're up there, you're paying for this flight. The last thing you want to have happen is take all of these photos and then you get down and notice you did something wrong. So utilize that time to look at the back of the screen so you can make sure you're doing everything as right as possible.
Better now would be if the lights came on out there. Can I put my foot on the skid or no? Yeah, go ahead, man.
So when you're in the helicopter, don't just look for the basic images of shooting buildings or things that are right in front of you. Look backwards behind you. Look for the reflection of the earth in the windows of the helicopter behind you. Or shoot pictures of your feet hanging out of the plane. Look for some of those images that aren't right in front of you, that are more creative, that are more photojournalistic style, because they are extremely unique and make for great images.
You got a new channel? I did. Oh, I was shooting my legs out. Okay.
So renting a helicopter isn't cheap. So again, I want to thank Canon for footing the bill for that. But what this video is all about is having you learn from the experience that I had up there, the mistakes that I made, because I definitely made mistakes. And that's why I'm trying to tell you things like, if I would have looked straighter down, leaned out of the helicopter because I was harnessed in, I could have gotten those better top-down shots that are just more unique than looking like I'm shooting out of a high building. Those are things that you want to learn from, that when you're flying and renting a helicopter at your expense, you have a much better starting point than I did.
The light lighting up the back of the strip is much nicer right now. So can we go down the strip and then come back while the sun's coming down? All right, you got it.
I love this time of day. I love getting like the sun rays coming out from like the clouds. It's beautiful.
Jared, will we be going higher? How high do you want to go? I'm not asking, I'm just asking you what your plan is. Right, we're approved at this altitude. Yeah, we're good. Or lower, but we can put in a request to go higher, just depends on the traffic. No, I'm good. All right, you just let me know, man.
So we were flying somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Now, it sounds pretty high, but I don't think it's as high as I think we could have gone. Now, in the future, it may be better to go up much higher, because I know some photographers that do aerial photos out of the helicopter sometimes go up to 12,000 feet, which must be really cold, but it might give you a great opportunity to use a longer lens and get some awesome shots.
Okay, we got the fountain at the Bellagio too. All right, check this out.
I'm a big proponent of getting your line straight, and that's a little hard to do when the helicopter is turning or pitching or going forward or backward. You want to find those natural things that help you get your line straight, like the roads or the horizon at the distance, but you're going to find yourself having to move and manipulate your body and camera to make sure you get those lines straight so you don't have to correct that in post.
You want to go over the strip, straight down it? Sure. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go down in altitude 500 feet. Sound good? Yeah. Okay. Crazy how fast we lost the sun. I know, man. Are we going to get close to the strip like we were before? You'll get a nice strip view from here. Here's a cool perspective, Jared. Now I'm just going to look at it, so. You good, Jared? Yeah, I forgot to just look. So now I'm just going to look.
So when I was taking those photos shooting straight down the strip, now they're cool images, but being that I had an ultra wide lens on, it looked like it was really far away. And then when I was checking an image real quick, I caught a glimpse of the strip right in front of me and decided to just sit there and look at what was in front of me. You have to observe the world from time to time. You don't always need to be shooting it, but it was great to just sit there in the helicopter and look straight down the strip.
Okay, I'm gonna set it up for you, okay? Yes, sir. The mountains are still going. now we got some lights coming on. Yeah, lights are starting to come on. Oh yeah. Ooh, look at the colors on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh, now it gets cold.
One of the recommendations I have is wearing gloves when you're in the helicopter. Now, not just any type of gloves, but tight gloves. You still need to have the feelings in your fingers to be able to zoom or change the settings that you have. But especially when it's cold like today, you really want to have gloves on.
This would be a cool shot of the airport if you guys like airport stuff.
Yeah, I think we're ready to head back.
That's good? Everybody's good? Yeah.
Yep. 4:35. The airplanes look like toys.
Yeah. You gotta love these cannons. These cannons really light up the sky nicely. Give you that nice boomy color. It actually does look fantastic on the back of the camera. The clouds are perfect now.
They're awesome.
Great flight, Jared. Thank you. Oh yeah, thank you. I thought they were thanking me. I'm like, you're welcome. You're welcome, guys.
So here's something to keep in mind is to select the right time to fly. Now our flight was scheduled for 4 to 5, but we took off a little earlier and we got back just as the sun started to go down and the lights were coming on the strip. So do your research to know what time the sun is going down. Will it look better if you're flying during the day, or do you want to fly at night? So that is one thing you want to keep in mind before you get up there. Overall, this has been an incredible experience. Being able to fly in the helicopter, have the doors propped open, to be harnessed in and capturing images is absolutely incredible. It's fun, you get some great images, and it is an adrenaline rush. So if you have fears of flying, if you have fears of heights, well, one way to get over that is to harness yourself into a helicopter, take the doors off, and shoot out of it. So that's pretty much it. Let's send it back into the loft to look at the final results. Here we are back in the loft where it's time to look at the photos from the 5-minute portrait flying in the helicopter in Las Vegas. Again, thank you to Canon for footing the bill for the helicopter. So right here on the computer, I have 25 images that I've already gone ahead and edited. You can click up on the screen right now to check out a full-on editing thing showing you all of the photos being edited. It's about a half an hour of me tweaking the files, but let's just talk about some of these images. Here you have Steven setting up the GoPros. You know, as a photojournalist, it's always important to see and capture what is around you. But the reason I picked this one is I want to point out something about this image. You see how that this is a, you see this plane back here? It has no markings on it. Why does it have no markings on it? Because it's one of those planes that flies out to Roswell, New Mexico into Area 51. That's right, that's the plane that does it. But all right, let's move ahead. So we have a shot like this where you're shooting straight down. I absolutely love doing this. Now, like I said outside, I wish I did more where I was facing straight down out of the air, out of the helicopter. What I should have done is unhooked, well, not unhooked, but really sat on the side and been more comfortable shooting. But next time I do it, I will be more comfortable to capture better images straight down. Having to get the line straight is not very easy when you're up there. This one is okay. I wish that it was, you know, skewed a little bit better, but I love the editing and how the black and white really pops in an image like this. Again, this is one of those planes that goes out to Area 51, but you can see what happens with the shadows and all of the cars, how it looks like a tiny world, little things happening down there, but there's so many details, all these leading lines of the roads and the cars and the shadows. It just looks really, really cool. Now what I'll say is, before I get into more of the images, is that I wasn't super happy with the images that I captured out there. Now that's because really it was the first time out there shooting, and I expect to be really good at everything I do. Now, in terms of exposure, that was fine, but starting to understand the mentalities of shooting out of a helicopter is something that will happen as you do it more often. But what I think is important for you guys is to remember that you can learn from what I did out there. let Canon foot the bill for helping us all learn to be better photographers when it comes to shooting out of helicopters so that you don't waste your time and money when you go and do this for yourself. So here we were flying around the stratosphere, and I love the colors. The 5D Mark III was able to capture really nice raw files with that 11-24 lens. Like I said, I wish I could have switched lenses a little more often, but I just wasn't comfortable enough up there to know what I needed. So I would like this to have less dead space on the left-hand side. You know, more detail, something more interesting. And you can see this is more in the center. We were trying to line up the sun behind it, but that takes a little more coordination with the pilot. And in the future, I'm gonna direct the pilot much more, especially if I'm just up there by myself. But I'm pretty happy with these shots because, well, I guess the line is a little off on this one now that I see it. Don't like when my lines aren't straight. But what's cool is you've got the planes coming in the distance. So all of that is really cool. And we moving on. The way that the roads are here, you know, where we're going, we don't need roads generally, but out in the distance, you can see the awesome clouds. You can see the snow happening out there on the mountains. And some people may think, Jared, why were you shooting at 4.5? And I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but when you're shooting ultra wide angle lenses, 4.5, just about everything's going to be in focus at 11 millimeters. Keep that in mind when you're up there. My key was to keep that ISO down so I could have just a cleaner image no matter what camera I'm using, whether it's a consumer D3300 or Rebel T6i or the top of the line camera. It's just better when you get those lower ISOs. And this is one of my favorite shots from the entire thing. I thought it would be great while everybody else was shooting out the other side of the helicopter to get my legs in there. The only thing is this will only work in really a photo story because you don't know what I'm hanging out of. You don't know, am I about to parachute out? You don't know that it's a helicopter unless you've seen the other images or hear me talking about it. But I absolutely love this image. It's where kind of a fisheye could come in handy to be a little further back to get more of the rounded nature of maybe the pilot and the front windshield. But I love this. Again, I am focused right here on my Sebastian McCalls because I do it all in my Sebastian McCalls as it's loading. I love the focus is here and then the ground is out of focus. It gives you dimension where you wouldn't normally see it. So moving forward, more of the same out the back of the plane, but boom, this black and white image is awesome. The lines are straight. It just looks really, this is what I was talking about, facing down more to capture those images like this. Those are the winning shots. And this is what happens after you do your photo shoots. You go through the images like this. You go through them and determine what could you have done better next time. And when I was doing the 30-minute editing video of all these images, I was ripping on myself pretty hard. But then when I got to the very end and saw the 25 keepers, I was like, you know what? I didn't do as bad of a job as I first thought. Like, this is a great shot. I love the black and white. It's so strong. And I saw these roads and all these cars. It just makes for really cool stories up there. Next time, I hope we can go higher. I hope we can shoot straighter down. Great color here, looking down the strip as the sun was starting to go down. You have all of these images right here, the strip. Moving on, Bellagio, again, with the 11-24, wish I could have been tighter, but higher up, shooting straight down could have been better. But here we see we've got the fountains going off down here in the bottom. And you've got the Paris Hotel, the Bellagio, and moving on, we just got closer and I zoomed in. Really, if I could cut down on this dead space up top, that means shooting down more. That means asking the pilot to do certain things or going to a higher altitude so you can shoot straight down. Those are the things to keep in mind in the future if you're doing it. All of this is dead space up here that really isn't necessary, and that's just something to get better with your composition. Maybe it works a little better here because you can see the mountains and everything at the distance, but you can see what I'm talking. I'd love to shoot straight down the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, look, we were tilting in. It's a little stronger right here. And as we move on, we were lining ourselves up with the strip to get some better shots. One of my favorite shots, I'm not sure if it's this one or the next one, is look what we did with the sky. I was able to bring this back in the RAW file. One of the reasons we shoot RAW is to bring back files like this, to have more control over the dynamic range. That's why a lot of people shoot HDR, is because they can pull back more dynamic range in their images to do what I did up here in the clouds. Now this isn't HDR, but it's at sundown, and I brought back the highlights, and I did some gradient editing that you can see on the editing video, but this is cool. I wish the Bellagio fountains were going off, but this shot is a little better because we're just slightly to the right of the strip, but you have everything front to back in the strip all the way down to the other end, and then this is what's at the other end. Nice color as the sun's going down. Coming in to land at the airport, we've got the airport there, we've got a mini 747, which is interesting looking, and then I asked Steven to take a picture of me in the helicopter, just because I want to have some photos of me and something cool along these lines. What a cool experience to shoot out of a helicopter. I am much more comfortable now doing it. I would love to do it again, and I just may do that. But really, use the tips and the techniques that I talked to you about earlier during the 5-minute portrait version to help you if you're going to shoot out of a helicopter one day. So again, big thank you to Canon and Miss Hatton for helping us out while we were up there in the helicopter, and I'm going to leave it at that. As always, you can check out some full res images over on the website, actually all the full res images, as well as download some of my favorite RAW files so that you can edit them yourself. So that's it. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya. So I hope you enjoyed that 5-minute portrait. If you'd like to subscribe here on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when our videos go live. But also, if you'd like to check out more 5-minute portraits, go ahead and click on the screen right now to check out those videos.